I am such a Disney kid. I have been a Disney kid for as far back as my memory can reach. I think one of my very first memories at all, like go all the way back to the earliest possible memory you can remember, right? What is the first thing that the very first thing you vividly remember? Usually, and I guess science kind of backs this up, it's usually around 3 to 5, somewhere in there. Usually is when we start to really form those long-lasting, long-term memories in our development. Sometimes a bit earlier. I do have kind of a vague memory from when I was 2. And that's another story for another time. It's just one specific memory that was a little bit traumatic. Not like wholly traumatic. Nobody got hurt. Everything's fine. It just was it was scary for me in the moment when I was a kid. But my second oldest memory ever is being 5 years old, being dressed up in a little suit, and hugging Mickey for the first time at Disneyland. I had family in the Anaheim area and in the LA area, basically all over Southern California. And so it was pretty regular for my family, for us growing up in the Portland area. My mom and dad would take myself and my sister, and we would go on these little road trips, and we would drive down to Southern California to visit our family for a week or two at a stretch, usually about a week. We would make the drive down, stay for a few days, hit a couple of theme parks, hang out, spend some time with our family, and then drive back. And we would do this maybe, I don't know, twice a year. No, we didn't hit Disney twice a year because even back then it was expensive. But I got to hang out at Disneyland, every other year or so, when I was a kid. And so my earliest memory of being at Disneyland, I was 5 years old. I was wearing a little suit, and I think part of the reason why that memory is so cemented for me is because I remember when it happened, and I remember the experience of it, and I even remember some of the smells, which is weird. But I think that memory solidified for me because there was a photo that was taken that then hung in my family's living room for the next 15 years of my life. Maybe 10, maybe the next 10 years. But yeah, it was a very, very vivid memory for me. And so my sister and I both just absolutely loved Disney stuff growing up. We watched a lot of we had all the movies. We collected the tapes and stuff. And then later we started buying DVDs, and DVDs sort of became a thing. That being said, I am a massive fan of the Moana film and the soundtrack. And so Voiceplay's Moana medley is every time I hear it, it just takes me right back to some of the best songs that have come out of Disney in a long time. I think it was, I want to say was it 2014 or 2016 when that movie came out? I can't remember off the top of my head. Maybe 2016, or maybe it was came out 2015, but then it got nominated for a Grammy or something in 2016. Regardless, the music's phenomenal. How far I'll go is one of those earworms that gets stuck in my head every single time. So I'm gonna apologize now if any of this stuff gets stuck in your head. You're gonna have to blame Lin-Manuel Miranda. I can't help how catchy these songs are. That being said, it's time to take a look at the Moana medley by Voiceplay.
Moana, make way, make way. Moana, it's time you knew. The village of Motunui is all you need. Consider the coconut. The what? Consider its tree.
Each part of the coconut, that's all we need.
We make our nets from the fibers. The water is sweet inside. We use the leaves to build fires. We cook up the meat inside. The village believes in us. That's right. The village believes. The island gives us what we need, and no one leaves.
So here I'll stay. My home, my people beside me. And when
Such
I
a good-
think of tomorrow, there we are.
Okay, First of all, Rachel Potter is the featured female vocalist here, and boy is Rachel killing it. There's something about a 5-part mix. For whatever reason, that blend of voices, that 5-way blend of voices just works so incredibly well. You have the drums and bass, and then you have 3-part harmony. And one of the basic tenets of theory, like one of the first things you learn when you study any kind of music theory at any level, even if you're just a kid picking up an instrument for the first time in your elementary school, they teach you that in order for there to be a harmony, a chord, in order for there to be a chord, it has to have 3 notes. Now it can be any 3 notes. And, later on down the line, you start to learn the differences between things like Lydian and Mixolydian scales and, dominant chords and, differences between major and minor chords, which I'm sure are terms that you hear often, and these are like the differences between those things are very, very important. But there is one constant that remains across all of music theory, and it's that in order to have a chord, you have to have 3 notes, implied or otherwise. There have to be 3 notes to create a chord. You can have 2 notes that create something called an interval, and you need at least 2 notes to create a harmony. But the term harmony can refer to any number of notes, and basically anytime you have more than 1 note being played, it's considered a harmony. And so to sort of narrow down the field, if you have 2 notes, it's called an interval. If you have 3 or more notes, that's what a harmony is. And I think that that's the reason why 5-part voices work so incredibly well in a cappella music. It's the reason pentatonics have 5 members. It's the reason why the majority of a cappella groups that you're going to find are going to be 5 voices. Rockapella back in the day, they had 5 voices. There was a group in the Pacific Northwest that called themselves the Coats for a long time. In fact, I think they're still together, and I think they're still occasionally doing like school tours and stuff. But that was a group that I was familiar with growing up because I saw them playing like a lot of the jazz festivals and stuff that I was performing at when I was coming up as a jazz band player, playing my saxophone in school and stuff. So like, 5, for whatever reason, 5 voices seems to be the magic number. And I think I can't confirm this myself because obviously I'm not a professional singer. I've never actually taken voice lessons myself. Closest I ever got to being in a choir was I ran sound for a 16-voice choir, like a 16-voice jazz choir when I was in college. But being the sound guy obviously is not the same as being the singer, right? Like it doesn't translate. So the best I can offer, the best I can surmise based on my experience in musical training is that with 5 voices, you have drums, bass, and the minimum number of voices you need for a proper harmony outside of the bass. Now, the bass note is kind of special. You can have 2 voices plus a bass note, and that's your 3-part harmony. That counts. But having a 3-part harmony above a bass note that sort of like provides more of a foundation below, it sort of fills out that harmony, and that's actually about where my theory training dropped off. Is when I was in college, I was writing 4- and 5-part harmonies, like for like basically like classical music style music writing. I was writing out 4- and 5-part harmonies, and I got to a certain point where I was like, I'm never gonna make money at this, and I stopped. It would be hilarious if YouTube proved me wrong. Not that funny. But I think that's why 5 voices works so well. Now, that being said, we are missing a member of Voiceplay whose role is being sort of substituted for Rachel. I don't know off the top of my head which member is missing, because I don't know that much about the members of Voiceplay themselves as individuals. I've only recently became a fan of Voiceplay and only recently started to sort of casually watch a few of their videos. The Moana medley is probably my favorite of theirs, just because I love the music so much and because Rachel's amazing. But also, I've noticed that like in their other videos, there's a fifth dude that's not here for this. So, keep an eye out for that. If you watch some of the other Voiceplay videos, just keep in mind that like there's supposed to be 5 voices there. I don't know. I mean, they handle it differently depending on the song, depending on the arrangement. But in this case, the fifth member is obviously their featured artist, Rachel Potter, who is playing the part of Moana.
I'll lead the way. I'll let my people guide me. We'll build our future together. Where you are, where you are. I've been staring at the edge of the water long as I can remember, never really knowing why.
Okay. I don't know the members of Voiceplay real well. Not like I know the members of Pentatonics, because I've done several Pentatonics videos. I've gotten a hell of an education from you all. Thank you for all the amazing comments to kind of help set me straight as far as like the things I need to know about the group Pentatonics. I'm looking forward to learning more about Voiceplay, and I imagine that you all are going to have plenty to share with me in the comments. As far as like things I need to know, who to identify, like which members sing which parts and that sort of thing. That being said, there is one member of Voiceplay I am already familiar with, and that's Jeff Castellucci, who is singing the bass and is incredible. That dude is just so phenomenal. He's got some solo stuff. There's actually a solo video where he sings Bare Necessities from Jungle Book. Another Disney tune, actually. But dude is amazing when he sings that. And it's just kind of like a cool little green screen thing that he does, like solo. So he's like singing, like overdubbing himself, which is really fun. But yeah, Jeff, like keep an ear out for what Jeff's doing in the bass, because he's so tight. His precision as a bassist is just so incredibly tight. And I'm gonna use the term athletic for lack of a better term. Like he does a lot of moving around as a bass player, or as a bass singer, which is, it's very easy to get away with just doing long notes or doing whole tones as a bass player, or as a bass singer. But if you listen to what Jeff's doing, there's a lot of rhythm to what he's doing, and there's a lot of movement in what he's doing. And that's one of the things that I really enjoy about his performances, not just here, but just in general as a bassist.
I wish I could be the perfect daughter, but I come back to the water, no matter how hard I try.
I also love that they're all playing a character.
Every turn I take, every trail I track, every path I make, every road leads back to the place I know, where I cannot go, where I long to be. See the line where the sky meets the sea. It calls me. No one knows how far it goes. If the wind in my sail on the sea stays behind me, I know how far I'll go.
I feel like the camera's having a little bit of a tough time focusing on Rachel. I could be wrong about that, but it feels like every time they kind of do a panning shot past Rachel, she's just a little out of focus, maybe. But the backdrop is so detailed, and there's 4 of the people all kind of sitting together, so it might be a little bit difficult to get that focus under control in a production like this. There's a little bit of a side note on the video production stuff. I don't think that takes away at all from the musical talent of what's happening here. The way that the thing that Voiceplay does differently, I think, that sort of sets them apart as a group, and really kind of like defines their sound as a group, is the way that they switch roles between who's doing what harmony and who's doing what part at any given time. for example, with pentatonics, you have Mitch, who can sing incredibly high. You have Kirsten, who is also a very, very solid soprano in her own right. She can get a little bit down into alto range, but she's largely a soprano. And then you have Scott, who is, turns out, a baritone and can kind of split duties between like a low tenor and a bass, which is kind of the cool thing about being a baritone. I myself am a baritone. I just don't have the talent. I can't sing like these folks, right? I can kind of sing like good enough for, a drunken karaoke night with some friends, but like beyond that, you're not going to catch me on a stage anytime soon, right? Certainly not getting paid for it. So, everybody in pentatonic, and then obviously, you have Kevin doing percussion, and you have either Matt or Avi, depending on when you tune into pentatonics in their tenure as a group. Whoever's on bass, they just sort of live in that role. Bass does the bass stuff, with very rare exceptions where Scott will step in, like in Hallelujah, and do the bass part while Avi's doing the lead, right? Percussion sort of sticks to percussion. And you kind of have that here with Voiceplay. You've got Jeff on bass. You've got whoever's doing the percussion sort of sticks to the percussion stuff. But then beyond that, Voiceplay, I think more so than the other groups that I've seen or heard, they switch roles. They move around quite a bit, and I think it's because the other in this case the other two guys that aren't doing bass and drums can sort of interchange with each other's range a bit. But in other Voiceplay videos I've seen, there's three dudes, and usually those three guys are able to sort of interchange with each other, and so it makes the whole thing very chameleon-like. It's hard to tell who's doing what part at any given time because it all blends together so naturally. That's sort of what makes them special. It's just like with pentatonics, how they all have a very specific role, and they cover a really wide range of tone, and so like they can pull off these crazy wide chords, like these crazy open chords. Same, you've got something similar going on here with Voiceplay, where they don't have the range of, say, a pentatonics, because Mitch is practically superhuman with how high that guy can sing, right? So what they lack in range, they're making up for in complexity of their chord structures, which I truly appreciate.
Hey! Open your eyes,
There we go.
let's begin. Yes, it's really me, it's Maui. Breathe it in. Breathe. I know it's a lot. The hair, the bod. When you're staring at a demigod. What can I say except you're welcome? For the tide, the sun, the sky. Hey, it's okay, you're welcome.
Oh, this is interesting. Hold up. All right. So this is fascinating. So the three folks that are standing, right? Rachel and the other two fellas, are all on three different microphones. Presumably because they're using they're using different microphones that play more to the tonality of their voice. These are all real microphones. These aren't just props. They are plugged in, which I appreciate, but this is a pre-recorded, like they recorded this stuff in a studio track session. They didn't record this the same day they shot the video, or maybe it was the same day, but it wasn't at the same time. That's fine. That's how video production is done. I appreciate that the whoever was setting up the props for the video took the effort of actually plugging the microphones in, because I cannot tell you how many times as a DJ. Heck, yesterday I was watching Bad Bunny on stage at the Royal Rumble, because I had a friend come over who's a massive wrestling fan. I hadn't seen him in a long time, because of quarantine. And so I was like, he's like, yeah, man, I want to come over and watch Royal Rumble on your TV. I'm like, all right, cool. So like we're sitting there watching Royal Rumble. He's a DJ buddy of mine. He's explained to me like the storylines between the different wrestlers and whatnot. And then we watched Bad Bunny perform at Royal Rumble. The screens of the laptops had literally just had Bad Bunny logos on them. There was nothing on the laptops. It was all fake. And that, as a DJ, drives me crazy because almost any time you see a DJ on television, I've DJ'd on television, and we had my stuff plugged in because I was actually performing with my MC. I don't understand these productions that think it's fine to just have DJ gear. I'm on kind of a tangent here, by the way. I apologize. TV productions, film productions, where they have DJs where like none of the stuff is even plugged in. They didn't even bother to turn any of it on. They're not even going to pretend that he's actually DJing. Drives me up a wall. So massive kudos to whoever put this video together and actually took the time to plug in those microphones. Believe me, once you notice it, like every DJ and every movie or every TV show ever, you're going to be looking now. Like all I can do when I see a DJ show up on a thing is I look at the back of the mixer and see if anything's plugged in, because if nothing's plugged in, including the power, then I know that it's all completely fake. I mean, it's fake anyway, because it's TV and movies, right? Like you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit, but like just like plug it in and pretend like you can turn it on if you wanted to. That's the bare minimum. So anyway, the microphones are all plugged in, which I appreciate. The three across the back are all using different microphones. The one in the middle looks like an MXL mic. And then the two on the outside, I'm not entirely sure what microphones those are. They might even be, actually, the two on the outside, the two silver mics on the outside in the back, might even be the same microphone. It looks like they might be the same mic, just one's in a shock mount and one's not. Which for the purposes of this, for the video, like isn't that big of a deal. Shock mounts have a really specific purpose, like a functional purpose. I kind of wish I had one for this actually, because it cuts way down on vibration and stuff. But not super necessary for this. The one in the middle is, I believe, an MXL microphone that Rachel's using, and Rachel's microphone does have a shock mount on it as well. Now, the reason I bring all that up is because the two mics in the front are the same mic. I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say it's a Sennheiser. Yeah, Sennheiser MD421. I would bet money that the two microphones in the front, the two black microphones, are what are called a Sennheiser MD421. These are really famous, well-known microphones in the recording industry, and they are they look a little bit like a Star Trek phaser kind of. But the element for the microphone, the diaphragm that actually picks up the sound, is in the front, which is why Jeff, why they've got it kind of like pointed at their mouth like this, kind of like my microphone here, like it's at the front, and so you have to sing into it like almost like you're singing down the barrel of a gun, as opposed to off to the side. There's like, even when I turn my microphone, you can tell like when I talk into the side of it, it doesn't sound the same. Like not even close. So, that's the Sennheiser MD421. Part of the reason why it's so incredibly well known is because it's an amazingly versatile microphone. You can use it for percussion. You can use it for lower end vocals. You can use it for you'll see it a lot in like drum kit mics setups. Where you can use it as a kick drum mic, you can use it as a snare mic, you can use it for toms. It's one of those mics that's really, really, really versatile. As a matter of fact, the last couple of bands that I worked with when we would do recording projects, we actually would use Sennheiser 421s for guitar cabinets. We would just put them on like a little kick drum mic stand, so it was a little short mic stand that sat maybe that high off the ground, and then we would just point the Sennheiser at the guitar cabinet so that we could pick up all of the buzzing and all the hissing and all the like analog sound from a guitar cabinet when we were recording rock guitars. And it was, it just works incredibly, incredibly well. It's got a wonderful pickup pattern. And it's one of those microphones. It's kind of like with the Shure SM58, or the Heil PR40. I mean, there's specific microphones that if you spend any amount of time in the recording industry, you'll just know a microphone. Like you'll spot it from a mile away, and you'll know exactly what it's supposed to sound like every single time. So it's cool. I think these might be their actual microphones that they used just for the sake of the video. I appreciate they plugged the cables into them. The other ends of those cables probably aren't plugged into anything, or maybe they are. But like I said, this was not recorded at the time of the video. They recorded this separately in a studio session, made it perfect, and then shot the video over the top of it.
Take it away.
Kid, honestly, I could go on and on. I could explain every natural phenomenon. The tide, the grass, the ground. That was Maui just messing around. I killed an eel, I buried its guts. Sprouted a tree, now you got coconuts. What's the lesson? What is the takeaway? Don't mess with Maui when he's on the breakaway. And the tapestry here on my skin is the map of the victories I win. Where I've been, I make everything happen. Look at the many Maui.
Amazing.
I'm gonna need that boat. I'm out.
You're welcome. And thank you.
And thank you.
Little Maui's having trouble with his look.
You little semi-demi mini guy. Ouch! What a terrible performance. Get the hook. Get it? You don't swing it like you used to, man. Yet I have to give you credit for my start and your tattoos on the outside. For just like you, I've made myself a work of art. I'll never hide, I can't, I'm too shiny. Watch me dazzle like a diamond in the rough. Strut my stuff is so shiny. Send your armies, but they'll never be enough. My shell's too tough, Maui man. You can try, but you can't expect a demigod to
so
be
good.
a decapod. Look it up. You will die. Now it's time for me to take apart your aching heart.
You'll never be quite as shiny. You wish you were nice and shiny.
Okay, I gotta take a quick break, just to process. First of all, process what the hell I just heard. Every time they get to this part of the medley where Jeff takes over as Tamatoa, like it's there's so much happening. Jeff is showing off in an absolutely insane range. The dude can do leads, he can do bass, he's just kind of running the gamut here. The guy, like I said, the guy is just incredibly acrobatic vocally. And they don't shy away from that, which is like so great. They're leaning into something that this guy can do well, and they're playing it up. Compositionally, so the thing about DJing that I've talked a little bit about in past videos is that you have to be able to, so if you're going to mix music as a DJ, you have to be able to find ways to transition from one song to another creatively without losing your dance floor or without losing your vibe. And that's where it gets really, and that's where the tricks sort of come in, right? Like most of DJing, and they never show this like on TV shows or on movies when you see DJs like on screen, like in a storytelling sort of setting. The DJ's always scratching. They're always throwing their hands up. They're always doing something. They're always engaged physically in some way. The reality of DJing, especially when you're doing like a 4-hour long club set, is that there's like maybe 20 to 30 seconds of scratching and mixing and doing stuff, and then you take your hands off the decks and let the song play. Because if you don't let the song play, usually it'll just upset everybody. And so what a good DJ is a master of being able to transition from one song to another. Now, this is what kind of perked my interest when I was studying composition, when I was studying theory, is that, it's very much a similar kind of a thing. You're finding ways to transition from one song to another. Here, we hit a particular note on a way out of that Tamatoa song into whatever this next transition is, and all you hear, like, so everything drops out and you just hear Jeff's bass tone, and it's just droning. He's just holding that note as they transition from one song into another. And so, like, that's the kind of thing that DJs are going to listen for when they're looking for ways to transition between songs. And that's what basically all of this equipment is for. It's to allow me to be able to queue up another song and then find a way to transition from the song that's currently playing into the next song as smoothly as possible, so that people continue to, enjoy themselves. And you can there's actually ways to build energy by doing that. If you do it a certain way, do it the right way, move from one key to another key, in a certain direction, that kind of thing. But for the purposes of this, for what we're hearing here, I'm going to back it up just a hair, and I want you to listen to the way they transition from one song to the next by just holding on that bass note with Jeff.
Quite as shiny. You wish you were nice and shiny.
There it is.
I have crossed the horizon to find you.
We're in a different key.
I know your name.
Very different tempo.
They may have stolen the heart from inside you, but this does not define you. This is not who you are. You know who you are. See her light up the night in the sea, and she calls me.
She's perfect.
Yes, I know that I can't go. There's a moon in the sky and the wind is behind me. And soon I'll know how far I'll go. We know the
Okay. So, a lot happened right at the end there. First of all, Rachel is phenomenal. Every note, like her vibrato is perfect. Every note is dead on. Rachel clearly has a lot of experience singing, and I mean, she's doing stuff that I've heard professional singers. I've heard singers that are like chart-topping singers that are like Billboard, like international Billboard artists that can't do some of what Rachel's doing here. I mean, that's the beauty of YouTube. That's the beauty of giving the power to us to be able to share videos and create stuff like this without having to have the multi-million-dollar recording contracts and stuff behind us. Like, we can create something like this with a bunch of our friends on a relatively small budget and put it out into the world and show that, like, if you have real talent, you cannot replace that with computers and production and fireworks and lasers. Like, none of that stuff will ever replace pure raw talent. And Rachel's putting on a masterclass here, especially, like, she's been fantastic throughout this entire medley, but right at the very end here, this last little showcase for Rachel is just, she just takes it to 11. I have to back this up. The other thing I want you to listen for, because we're gonna hear right up to the end again, and the other thing I want you to listen for is Jeff hangs on that last note just a touch, and we hear so, like, the last thing that we hear like a big splash at the end, but the last thing we actually hear is the trail off of that low note. This is one of those, like, headphones if you got them, because, like, you're gonna have a hard time hearing this if you're just on your phone, or if you're just on a set of laptop speakers. Either a system with a subwoofer or a good set of headphones where you can get some decent bass response, and you'll really be able to pick out what Jeff's doing right at the very last note, the last thing we hear, it carries us right through to the very end of the piece. Perfect. Amazing run. Yeah. Okay. Wow. That was, it's so good. Yeah, there's so much happening here. I'll never ever be able to cover all of it, but there's the harmonies, the way Voiceplay writes their harmonies and how they sort of interchange parts with each other. Nobody ever stands above anybody else. In fact, I would even say that Voiceplay is better than some of the other acapella groups, maybe even including Pentatonics, at incorporating enough transitional harmony between the different parts that no one member super stands out. Like, yes, okay, you have the rhythm part, the percussion part, but he also, like, the guy doing the percussion part, the guy on the far left here, in this. Oh wow! Actually, I closed the window. The guy on the far left here in this shot, was doing the percussion the whole time. He also showed that he can sing, and he also showed that he can rap. Like, a lot of people, a lot of singers understand rap as just like rhythmic singing, and so somebody who's very, very talented rhythmically, and I mean, you have to be able to do vocal percussion. Rapping is just sort of a natural progression. People who can rap can't necessarily sing and can't necessarily do beatboxing. There's a lot of skills that are involved in those things that translate, but not necessarily, So that being said, every single member here gets a chance to sort of showcase what they can do, but not only showcase what they can do, but what they can do outside of their sort of designated roles, which is what I really, truly appreciate about this medley. I think more so than anything else from an artist standpoint is they all get a chance to really shine. And then just adding Rachel to the mix. I mean, wow, she is so good. And she is so talented and so perfect for this group. I'm a little surprised. Like I said, I don't know as much about the background of Voiceplay and the members and their history. But I would be really surprised if there aren't more videos with her, where they brought Rachel Potter back to do other stuff, maybe some other Disney stuff. I mean, she's got a fantastic voice for doing the sort of Disney princess tone. So I could see her doing Beauty and the Beast. I could see her doing Frozen. I mean, any of it really. So just because she's that talented and she has such a great voice for it. Like, I like very much a sort of Broadway style, Disney princess style tone and quality to her voice, but at the same time just so incredibly dead on with her runs and her tonality, and her vibrato is so good. Man, I could talk about this video for days. But I'm not going to bore you all. I'm not going to bore you all with a 3-hour video on this. I am going to call it here. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't had a chance, please make sure that you're following me on Facebook or Instagram.com/DJSwitchPDX. Of course, you are here at YouTube.com/DJSwitchPDX, where I would truly appreciate if you would subscribe and make sure that you hit the bell so that you get notifications of when I post new videos. Last but not least, I am on Twitch 4 nights a week right now. That schedule may be changing soon, but for the time being, I'm on Twitch 4 nights a week, and that is twitch.tv/DJSwitchPDX. You'll find links for all of that down in the description below. And I would truly love to be able to just hang out with y'all on other platforms. Any of the social media stuff, Twitch is a great place. Then I've also got a Discord community, which I will link down below as well. So you're more than welcome to join us there. It's all completely free. It doesn't cost you anything. I just wanna hang out with cool, fun, nerdy folks that really like music. So feel free to join me at any of those places. In the meantime, I will see you all next time.